everyone. We are diving into how AI is changing B2B marketing, what founders get wrong about revenue, and how to turn chaos into real predictable pipelines. To get more insights, we have Philippe Ruttens, who is a fractional CMO and B2B revenue coach who's had teams at Accenture, Tyke, and more to drive serious growth. Today, he is building AI augmented GTM systems that fix broken funnels and scale demand. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Irsa, for inviting me. So looking forward to talk about the latest trends and hopefully help a few people also.
Excited to be in this. So, what's one silent mistake you've seen kill B2B growth inside great companies?
Mistakes or learnings. So I think as I always say, there's a focus on tools first of all, and tools which have been kind of embedded and tested because of hype and because of the MarTech waves, because of the AI waves, with teams in marketing, if we talk about marketing specifically here or go-to-market, who have not really done the homework sufficiently on strategic kind of aspects, on internal stakeholder management, and obviously on customer insights. So it's really important when we talk about AI or any tool, really, because it's a tool, to go back to the basics of marketing and go to market. And I think that's important. That's one. Secondly, is a mistake I see often is talking different language between marketing, sales, product, customer service, as well as having different goals and different OKRs or KPIs. And that's a recipe for sometimes disaster, but for reduced pipeline growth for sure. If you don't have alignment internally on strategy, on stakeholders, on goals, on the vision, on the value proposition based on customer and prospect insights, then whatever you do in marketing and sales, even inbound, outbound, will not work as well, in my experience.
So, what's your mental model for building a go-to-market engine that actually scales?
Well, I wish I had the magic answer. I would be a millionaire. But I think it depends. It depends is the answer. It depends on your products, on your sector, on your average contract value, on your journey, on the buyer journey, on your competition, on the go-to-market motion. Usually product-led growth, sales-led growth, or product-led sales, self-serve also. Depends if you're into SaaS, if you're looking at the type of persona, whether it's a technical or C-level or other, will require different go-to-market. I mean, usually you don't have more than one, maybe the priority go-to-market motion and secondary one, depending on your ICP, depending on your personas. So I don't think there is one specifically that works for every B2B SaaS, right? If we talk about that environment. So obviously I've worked 30 years in B2B and the last 10 years e-commerce and SaaS. I mean, the one I know more is sales-led growth, right? So everything around ABM, events, mostly outbound through emails, social relationship developments. Obviously, you have the layer of SEO, website content, which needs to be there, sales enablement. So there are kind of usual suspects in there. But I think, again, I come back to my first answer, which is about the alignment across the RevOps, the GTM ops, whatever the organization is, and making sure that the messaging, the content is being basically shown, published at the right place, at the right time, to the right person, so that you educate. So go-to-market for me, it's a publishing house, is an education kind of engine. So helping, not selling. And I think that's what's most important. The way you do it, the execution obviously is important. The strategy is important, but at the end of the day, is how fast you execute compared to your competition, and obviously how you differentiate with your people, because you might have, let's say, a fantastic product or an average product. if you have an average product, you need more marketing for sure and sales, or better one. If you have a great product, it should normally sell itself, and you don't need as much marketing and sales investment. So, but again, is the product market fit, which is really key. Actually, it's kind of in go-to markets, right? You have the market assessment, the competition, the customers' insights, and then that defines pretty much your go-to markets.
So basically, you do your audit first, and then you form a strategy that fits the company the best. And what if you
Yeah. Mhm.
So what if you feel that there's a need to basically update the product or the service? Do you also give those kind of suggestions to the ops team?
Yeah, I mean, I started my career as a consultant, so nothing has changed since the 90s. I'm that old, where you always analyze, you do an audit, you assess, you're looking where you want to go from now to the future place. And then you have to put a roadmap together based on resources, based on efforts, impact, on ROI. So yeah, I would say definitely. I think it's a lot about talking to people across the company and outside, and getting the vibes, if you want, of customers, of the market, and making sure that what you're going to build can be done without too much effort versus depending on the commercial goals. Do you want results in the next 6 months? Are you going for a new market? Can you wait for 18 months? If you sell to enterprise, it will take 12 to 18 months, usually for big contracts. And that takes a lot of hustle and grit to keep going, to have the resilience and the adaptability at the same time, because it's nothing is certain anymore. Things change so quickly in AI every day nearly that the market is very volatile. So you need to be able to adapt and continuously. It's a marathon basically. So resilience is super important.
So I think that answers my next question. When you join as a fractional CMO, what do you fix first? So of course, it comes from the strategy that you build and, the audit that you do. And the first step is usually according to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm operating in different roles. I'm a fractional CMO. I'm CMO at Tyke, API management software for enterprises for the last 3 years. I still do that role, but I am also the founder of a health tech called TTOS, which is basically health coaching. And at the same time, I advise or coach CMOs, CEOs, board on their go-to market. So because of my experience, I kind of adapt, sometimes more execution, sometimes it could be coaching people, sometimes it could be transforming teams. I think as a CMO, as an executive, I think you need to be able to play different roles. Sometimes you need to help people on the, I would say, emotional side, or sometimes you need to dig into analysis, reporting, data, which is what I do mostly, and revenue and strategy. And sometimes you need to do a bit of everything. So that's what makes my job, or hopefully other in the audience, interesting, because every day is different, and I'm never bored. I have to learn every day, even more now, I would say, because everything is changing so much in marketing and go to market.
So, with everything changing, so what do you think what's the broken, thing about traditional demand gen in 2025, and what's replacing it?
Ooh, we could talk for some time about that, but it's not just my kind of opinion. It's what I read. Obviously, I do a lot of research, curation, look at the influencers. I think the problems in a way are simple, but at the same time they're difficult to execute, to prioritize, to focus on, because there's again a wealth of information out there. So demand management. So we talk about branding and top funnel. If you want, you talk about mid funnel and bottom funnel. So there's obviously acquisition, there's engagement, and all these different phases. So demand, it comes back, if you want, in terms of demand of having the not just the messaging, but really the educational content that will make sure that it is seen by your personas, whether it's I don't know, a technical software engineer or CIO or a marketing director, for example, that person will then read, watch, register, contact, and also share, because they share with their boss, share with their colleagues, with the other teams. You want these people to do the marketing for you. That is the best marketing. And we're talking about referrals, references, testimonials. We're talking about case studies. Customers will do the peer-to-peer, the word of mouth. Not, it's still valid. It's still back in the old days of marketing. Obviously you need to have the 4 Ps, the product pricing, etc., promotion in place, but it's still a people business. At demand management, the problem we have now is in the last year, especially AI has boosted automation and messaging and research. And obviously I use it too, but that human side, the brand emotional side needs to be there. People on LinkedIn, for example, I mean, how do I get work myself, for example? Or how does a company like Tyke get prospects and customers? It's by meeting them, it's face-to-face, by talking to them. It could be on Zoom or face-to-face, by sharing between people, oh, you should talk to these people. Or of course, sometimes you do a trial. Yes, that's interesting. I really like it. I like the people I talk to. I'm going to talk to other people about that. And in B2B, at least, because we're talking about B2B here, B2C, it's a different ball game, obviously. I think it's still, even with all the tools and the data and the AI, it's still based on people trust and brand trust.
Right. So, how do you think about intent signals in ABM now that AI can do real-time enrichment?
About intent?
Yeah, intent signals in ABM.
Intent signals in ABM. Well, yes. The last few years, we've tried, and I've tried different tools. You name it: website, account recognition, third party, second party, first party data. And in my experience, and again, it depends. Again, if you have very sophisticated, complex buying centers, you might need, for example, a platform, a buying intent platform. The way my philosophy is that you need to obviously look at your commercial goals and your ICPs and say, okay, what are the intent signals on paper between marketing and sales that you want to track, the top 5 and then the next top 5. How can you get that? And usually my view is 70% data, 30% qualitative insights, or interviews or focus groups. Or actually now what we do is we have different tools, platforms, you name it, Zen, Confluence, etc. You have demo calls, POC notes, proof of concept. You have Zen Desk Ticket. Applying LLM in a secure way. We have our own AI tools and engines, because ChatGPT is not compliant with our data security. We can assess, do tag clouds, or do keyword recognition and patterns and correlations of what actually the key signals are. For example, when you go to MQL level, when you go to an SQL, a lead, when you go to a deal creation or an opportunity win, there are different signals that indicate the journey is not straight or is not a funnel anymore, right? It's more spaghetti. And you need to combine different signals. I would say select top 3, top 5, combine them, but don't trust them fully. I think it comes back to also human analysis, but I think the predictive scoring and tools that allow you to basically segment differently an account level, contact level, personas is useful. It's useful to map that visually, but nothing beats talking to salespeople, to customers, to look into the notes of the webinars, etc., the questions asked in forums. It comes back to that kind of signals. And that's still, I mean, it's manual, yes, but of course you can summarize using AIs.
Okay. If you want to give us an example, like, can you walk us through one AI-driven campaign you've seen work exceptionally well?
That's a difficult one. I don't really follow specific campaigns. I mean, I follow a lot of kind of gurus who share their recommendations, but to be honest, I don't have time to do
Or
it
anything
because I'm,
that you've gone through and you thought that, it has worked really well for you, for the company?
yeah, yeah. Um, I would say everything around retargeting, remarketing using AI intent signals from third-party websites is it's not very new, but using AI, you can craft better messaging or better messaging to ICP, go to a personalized level, which is a level deeper, if you want, in terms of goals, in terms of intent, etc. Using benchmarks from it's more about the research and the development of the campaign than of course the execution. You can use AI to scrap data, to produce videos, podcasts, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So but there are so many tools again. In terms of, I mean, tools like LinkedIn, for example, formatting, and Canva. I'm a big fan of Canva, for example, which I use myself to use AI to create content, to package tools and whatever it is, demos and text that will make a difference to your audience. Now, you can use Canva or other tools, for example, to publish to different platforms at the same time. So it's productivity. I think AI is helping your campaign launch faster, uh, reduce the cost per lead, per deal, so that your ROI is increased. So you can read also from growth hackers, growth marketeers, how to increase the conversion rate on LinkedIn, on social, on emails by using these tools, which will, craft your structure, your storytelling is very important. So any AI tools that helps on copywriting also is super important because that's not my strong point, storytelling. So I will rely on these tools to have A/B testing, for example, or auto testing to reach your audience faster and better in the campaigns.
Okay. So let's talk about RevOps. So everyone talks about RevOps, but what does great RevOps look like in practice?
Yeah, I did for the RevOps Alliance a presentation back in a few months ago, and I was talking about GTM, go to market ops, actually. So you have RevOps and GTM ops. I mean, the simple definition for me is RevOps is basically aligning, integrating product, marketing, sales, and customer service or customer success. So again, I come back to the language, the vision, the strategy, and the KPIs, the goals. They have to be shared. Not everything is the same, obviously, between the different teams. But if you don't have that cross-team alignment, which is RevOps for me, which, by the way, includes data ops. So having the same data, having the same reporting structure, governance, process is super important. So whether you have in your scale-up or enterprise or RevOps or a chief revenue officer or other, it's not necessary, but I think you still need some kind of unit, a SWAT team made of one person at least from each of these four teams to meet or talk regularly and go through dashboards, go through, what can be improved in terms of definitions, taxonomy, process, activities, messaging. It is essential because if you don't do that, then it's going to be more messy. It's going to be silos, and marketing and sales, as usual, are different people, different types of animals, if you want, and they need to be more aligned with product also, which can be engineers and software account managers and product managers. They are different. They have different mindsets, right? They have different skills. So yeah.
So when we talk about dashboards, what's one dashboard every founder should obsess over, but usually ignores?
Yeah, dashboards. Whether you use Salesforce, HubSpot, or another tool or Databox, I think the visualization of your data is very important. The way you tell your data story, because data, you can say anything you want with data, right? Depending on the time period, depending on the depth, on the correlations. So the way you tell stories with keep it simple, keep it focused on top 5 KPIs, for example, conversion, and then you have velocity, then you have the volume, and then you have the ROI. So they are the 4 kind of pillars of a dashboard. So again, depending on your commercial goals, you might be more interested by the branding and the engagement KPIs. You might be more interested by how can we create more deals? What are the questions? Before you think about dashboards and the KPIs, what questions do you want to answer? For example, how can I get better quality SQAs, sales qualified accounts? Or how can I get more deals? Which is a different question than how can I accelerate the conversion or the stages of my deal from 1 to 5 for this type of account. So every question is normally precise, and then you can think about, okay, we need that data and we need that dashboard representation or report, as it's called in HubSpot. So I think that's first, ask yourself and RevOps people if you want, okay, what are the questions we need to answer this quarter, this week, this month? And they would change, right? The questions will change. If your pipeline is going well, great. You probably have less questions. Or actually you would ask, okay, what can we accelerate even more, double down on? And if your pipeline is not going great, which is the case for many SaaS at the moment, the journey is more difficult, clients are a bit careful. Okay, how can we revive that segment? How can we learn from the previous deals and stop certain things, restructure our team or operations, or accelerate a specific segment, for example? They are all different questions. You could even have a dashboard per question sometimes.
So a different dashboard for your need.
For your commercial issues, I would say. So I would say depending on your level of growth, if you just have a new funding round, for example, you want to focus on cost of acquisition, efficiency, or NRR, and that's a different question than we're a 10 people company, we want to grow as fast as possible, we don't care, we got or we care because we're running out of cash. So in that case, okay, we grow faster but at a lesser cost in the last 6 months. If you say in the next 6 months or the next 18 months or the next 3 years, that is a different type of analysis and different types of dashboards.
Right. So when you build ABM for a SaaS company, what CAC LTV ratio is your baseline target?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah. So when you build ABM for a SaaS company, what CAC LTV ratio is your baseline target?
So the targets for CAC?
Yeah.
Customer success, you mean?
Yeah, customer success.
Well, I'm not so familiar with customer success teams and targets, to be honest. So, but the quick answer is obviously everything around satisfaction scores and promotion scores and NPS, basically. But it could be KPIs like the resolution of tickets, the speed of serving customers, the onboarding, implementation, or speed. So again, I don't think there's a specific answer, and to be honest, I'm not the best person to ask for customer success.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing so openly. For everyone listening, if you're thinking about how to scale smarter, unify your revenue engines, or leverage AI in your GTM, rewind this episode and take notes. Philip, really appreciate you being here, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation soon.
With great pleasure. Any question, just reach out, everyone, to me, and I'll do my best to answer.
That's great. Thank you so much.